Thanks for joining us on our comic book coffee break. I'm Nick Gunning.
And I'm Eric Michaels, known online
Oh,
as Dusk vs. Tweak.
That was a nice flourish.
Thanks.
As the Vision would say, flourish!
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah,
it
very British.
Boy, I'm drinking a little bit of tea today. Again, it's the holiday spice tea. Nice and warm.
Okay.
This is a mug from the film You've Got Mail.
Ooh.
It says, that caviar is a garnish, which is something the Meg Ryan character says to the Tom Hanks character. So it's a deep cut from the film You've Got Mail.
I should start
the
drinking
Christmas
tea.
Gag gift. You should. Yeah, it's soothing.
Tea,
Soothing
smoothies,
thing
and
for
water.
life.
That's what I gotta limit my whole diet down to. That's why I'm drinking water right now, because I'm trying to detox myself from Coca-Cola.
Oh.
It's gonna be a harsh
I'm telling
week.
you, man. I'm telling you. The switch to sparkling water was really it was a life-changing experience for me, because at first it's like, this is like pop, but there's no sugar. But after a while, you really acclimate. So I can't recommend it enough. I'm not getting paid. This is not a shill for big sparkling water. I'm just saying that's what worked for me.
Well, Big Sparkling Water is very happy with your performance.
That and Hooked on Phonics worked for me.
Okay.
Sorry. This show's brought to you by the Radio Meanwhile Network.
You can find more about the show and others like it at our network's website, radiomeanwhile.com.
Oh, sorry. You said that. There was a real pregnant pause at the end. I thought there was going to be more.
No.
Just that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then let's talk comic books.
Yeah. What do you want to talk about first?
Boy, I had a real thin week. I'm going to tell you.
All right, let's talk about like something that's more newsy than an actual comic then.
Yeah, all right.
Let's talk about the DC Universe app.
Yes.
Because it's not the DC... There we go. I'm going to have to move this image around because there wasn't no proper size. It's DC... I didn't realize it because the DC... The news felt like forever ago. Like 3 months ago, 4 months ago.
Yeah.
And... but it was just 4 days ago. It was the 20th, right? That the big change happened. That the apps updated the visual and everything, and all your videos are gone now. I know you're sad by that.
Yeah, I was sad about that, actually. And, you know, there are certain things that I didn't take advantage of like I should have. Like, I always intended to watch the Superboy show that was on there, and I didn't do it. I didn't do it in time, so that's on me. And my son and I were rewatching The Batman, which has not made the transition yet. I think Batman Dracula is on HBO Max, but not the series.
There's some stuff. I think Lois and Clark are in nebulous space right now because it was on the Infinite, but it's not on HBO Max just yet. So it's all the video stuff left. Not all of it has found its new home yet. I'm trying to think. It's like $75 for a year.
Something like that.
And Marvel
I don't
Unlimited is $65? Maybe it's the same. So
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm on the annual stuff.
But it feels like Marvel Unlimited launched with just comics and its price. And you're like, okay. But then DC Universe launched, but with videos and stuff. And now that they've removed that, it doesn't seem like there was like a price drop that was equal to the content drop.
No, but the way you can bundle it with HBO Max is
that's
pretty
true.
Good
yes, because you can't do that with Disney Plus and Marvel.
I wasn't gonna get HBO Max, but like if you already have DC Universe Infinite, HBO Max is only like $4.99 a month.
Yes, they definitely wanted to get everybody over there.
You know, I mean that was kind of a nice grab for me. So far, I don't know. I haven't really like there was some Vertigo stuff that I was looking for, like the Human Target, for example.
Not there.
That's just not there.
Yeah. I did not know this was happening. Yeah. Because that's been a thing about the DC Universe app, is that it's just been DC Comics. I did not know this app was getting Vertigo or Black Label. They just added this stuff. So not all the DC Black Label, but some of the, like Superman Year One, that Batman Damned is there. Yeah, it's so ridiculous. So I just got the 4 trade paperbacks of Constantine that my library has. The last 4 that they have, 11 through 14, that I've been reading, that I've been checking out from the library. Now DC Universe has all 300 issues of the Hellblazer Vertigo comic. And I just had that huge thing about Lucifer. Like, all 75 issues were available at my library's Hoopla. I've never been able to find them anywhere.
Yeah.
Now they're on the app.
When it rains, it pours.
that's a big deal.
I was excited about the milestone stuff, because I read that one Dwayne McDuffie. They only had 3 issues on the old DC app of the Static Shock, like Static Reborn miniseries, and they were missing the last issue, so that's there. But I wanted to read like the main Static series, and I saw a listing for it, and I was like, yes, finally I can read this one issue. They only have the first issue, so I would assume more is coming, but I was kind of surprised they weren't making more of the milestone universe, because I know they're developing stuff for that. So
there's a lot of Vertigo that they haven't. I mean, Hellblazer and Lucifer are the big ones, but there's a lot of Vertigo there to have. I mean, that could be Fables, that could be which ran forever, and Sandman and all that stuff that still haven't. So Milestone and Vertigo are the new big additions. So I mean, if I had the extra cash at the moment, I would just get the year subscription to that. And then I would probably just be reading Hellblazer and Lucifer through that. But apparently they went down from a year to 6 months for the new issues.
Oh yeah.
And but Marvel then announced that they were doing 3 months now. So I guess we're just getting to the point where maybe it will be just like same day. Who knows when that will happen? But
I was really digging the digital exclusive series. Not so much Wonder Woman, but Superman in particular, I felt like was really a nice throwback to, episodic storytelling for Superman, which we haven't really gotten in a long time. So I do enjoy some of the digitals. Like I said, I'm hoping that more of a drop with Milestone is coming, because it's pretty lackluster at the moment. And in fact, doesn't even have its own discovery section like Vertigo does. So. Hopefully that's in the works. But I spent a lot of time scrolling the DC app, like the changes. I didn't actually read any DC comics this week.
Yeah,
I think this is like a first in the
back when I first got back when I first got the Marvel app, I would just spend like a whole night just scrolling and adding and scrolling and adding, typing and adding, and oh, what about this series? So
I know. I said to my wife, I was like, this is almost too much, I was reading through, I'm still reading through the Rebirth era, trying to find a good order for that. And now it's just there's so many things that I want to read. And so instead of doing any of that, I failed.
All right. Well, what else did you read? Because it's been a thin week for me too. That's why I wanted to talk about that.
There's several things that I watched I want to spend some time on.
Okay.
But let's talk about Blue Bolt. This is Blue Bolt by Joe Simon and Jack Kirby. This is collected a couple different ways. I actually have it in my Kirby, Simon Kirby, compilation thing, the science fiction library. And it is great in there because that's an oversized book a little bit. The colors, I love the classic coloring scheme where they were just the background of this room is just solid yellow. That's what we're going with. Solid yellow, solid red. And it works really well for this aesthetic here. So I like it. Simon and Kirby did, I want to say, the first 10 issues. And I kind of thought that was it. But actually, the series went on and on and on for quite a while. It was bought out by another comic book company, eventually turned into more of a horror anthology kind of title, and dropped in issue 124. But I read the first 10 volumes here. A lot of interesting historical elements to this. This was the first character. This predates Captain America. This is the first character created by Simon and Kirby, their first superhero character.
Right.
It also is one of the first, if not the first, books where the title character is the name of the book. Because Superman, in Batman, Batman Detective Comics, all that kind of thing. For a long time, it was more that sort of thing. So this was one of the first comics that had a more modern naming structure of just being this is Blue Bolt, because that was the character.
Yeah.
This is about a football player who he's on a plane and it gets struck by lightning. It gets struck by lightning again. Fred Parrish is his name. He's found by a scientist who's let me fix you up. And, he's turned into Blue Bolt.
Yeah, sure.
And he just has these superpowers. And he fights the evil green sorceress. And this is kind of interesting, too, because it is a little bit more of the Batman Catwoman vibe, where they're sort of in love. And they try some things where he captures her and tries to just jolt all the evil out of her, and that doesn't work. but it's a little bit more nuanced than just like a good guy, bad guy dynamics. There is this sort of like, maybe we could stop fighting and just get married and buy a nice house. So I liked it. I don't really feel all that obligated to find the remaining 113 issues of the series, but
that's a lot.
It is a lot.
Wow.
It is a lot. I think, considering the time, I think it managed to tell pretty decent storylines.
Right.
A lot of the Golden Age stuff, like you want to take Golden Age Flash, for example, he's really just kind of like a meddling, bumbling guy. He doesn't really feel like a superhero. This very much straddled that line of pulpy sci-fi and a more traditional, like 1950s kind of superhero. So in some ways, I think it was ahead of its time. This was kind of the last of the big long runs collected in the Simon Kirby sci-fi collection. A lot of it is issue by issue going forward. Right. So this is one that I'm gonna just kind of like, maybe I'll finish a collection and I'll read a couple of issues in there and go back to something else. So it's kind of a long game for me, but that is in the run.
A lawn game.
No, not like Jarts or something.
Bocce
different.
Ball, yeah.
Yeah, I do love bocce.
I read something that I think is considered to be garbage. By everyone.
Okay.
But you know what? I'm willing to take that risk. I started reading Mutant X.
Oh.
This is 1998 is when it started. The first issue is October 98.
Now, remind me, does the TV show spin off of this, or is this come out of the TV show, or is it the same kind of thing?
This has nothing to do with Mutant X, the show.
What?
This has nothing. Yeah, no. Mutant X, the show, was just that weird, not X-Men. You'll never believe it's not X-Men skim stuff that is like in this. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, nothing to do with it.
Wow.
This is Mutant X, the series where Havoc of the X-Men is body swapped with an alternate version of himself, where they're kind of bad. I don't know. It's a weird world. I've read the first couple issues. He's married to Madeline Pryor, who keeps going in and out of Goblin Queen. This is where Bloodstorm first shows up, the Storm that's also a vampire.
All right.
Beast kept experimenting on himself, so he's kind of like a Hulk-like brute. And Iceman is this like crazy, I don't know. And they fight. Apparently Havoc had an affair with the Invisible Woman. And so now there's tensions between Havoc's the Six and the Fantastic Four. Though Alex is called Mutant X in this. That's where that comes from.
Now, we're sure that Havoc wasn't just caught by himself, and he said that it was the Invisible Woman that was there with him so he wouldn't look pathetic.
Wow.
I just want to be sure.
Wow. But this series, this is by Howard Mackey. This series has like a reputation that just gets so, like, I think at one point in this series, he will blow up the moon.
Ooh.
So, but like, that is not something Havoc has ever been able to do. He has a kid with that, but like, first issue, he's like, this isn't my world. Second issue, he's like, I'm telling you, it's not my world. Third issue, he's like, maybe I could find a place here. Yeah, maybe I could do this. I'm married to this redhead. I have a kid. Why not? What did I have back home?
Yeah.
So it's, I needed something. And this is kind of like out of continuity because he's in a different reality.
So I'm sorry. So it's our Havoc.
Yes, it's our Havoc in a different reality.
Listen, I can tell you from experience with OG Superman coming back and being in a different world, that gets a little exhausting.
I think this goes to 2001, which means I've read all the stuff about Havoc afterwards, where he comes back and he's in a coma, and the Exiles have a crossover which repairs. So like I've followed that stuff. So he does eventually make it back to the normal Marvel universe, but this is just a series that I've never wanted to spend money on, but I've always been like fascinated with. So I'm a couple issues in. It's not going to be good, but right now it's just very dumb. I don't know if fun's the right word. It's dumb and fascinating.
Okay.
So, but I'm waiting for it to become like the hot garbage that it's supposed to be. That's what I'm waiting for. That I can just be like, oh my gosh. Yeah, because again, I feel listless with the X-Men. I guess I could start reading all the post House of X, Powers of X stuff because they were all like 12 issues in now on the app. But I haven't been feeling it. And New Mutants is just, it's New Mutants. It's X-Men, but it's not.
Yeah.
So, and I tend to care about those characters a lot more when they're just part of the X-Men. Anytime, or like Wolfsbane, when she was, Wolfsbane when she was with X-Factor, or Cannonball when he was an X-Men, like, that's when I care. But when they're just New Mutants running around, I'm like, oh no, watch out for this thing that the X-Men have dealt with before and would deal with easily. So, they're not...
This is just blowing my mind, though, because Mutant X was a Marvel Comics production.
Yeah. But it's not the same thing.
But it's not connected at all.
No.
Okay.
The thing about New Mutants is I feel like New Teen Titans gets it. Like, we have a bunch of sidekicks and teen heroes and stuff. We know how to, like, make people want to read this. New Mutants, it just feels like Chris Claremont's like, I'll make this the weird book. And I'm like, but that's not what... All your books are weird, Claremont.
Yeah.
You didn't have to... So, anyway. Mutant X, that's what I'm reading right now. It's...
Okay.
Yeah, it's something. And it's so funny because it's like... It's 1998, it's an alternate reality. It seems they live in a castle. Like, not the mansion, they live in a castle. But they don't... That's cool. It doesn't seem like this is like an apocalypse kind of setting. Like, they're not like... The bombs didn't drop or anything. It just kind of still seems like our world.
Okay.
I don't know.
What a strange situation.
Yeah. Sorry, it's not the TV show. All right, what else are you doing? That's okay.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm in the midst of reading Marvel Masterworks Captain America Volume 7, and this is kind of so far has been kind of lame.
Hey. Hey now.
Anytime, like, they just don't know what they're doing. And midway through, I've just transitioned into the Steve Englehart's take on the run. And already I'm seeing improvements with, like, how Falcon is integrated, which was something that he talked about when we interviewed him back for the All the Book show and previously on X-Men. Mm-hmm. He, wanted to make Falcon a little bit more of a major player. And Falcon has been a pretty strong focus in the book, but he's sort of been relegated to, like, his own side story. And so I see the threads of what Englehart's trying to do, but I think the problem is he's inherited kind of a mess of what had been going on. It's not that I haven't been enjoying it, but it's just every time the focus shifts to the relationship between Cap and Sharon Carter, it's just like, stop. You two are toxic. You need to stop. And now, like, Nick Fury is having a similar relationship with his, like, S.H.I.E.L.D. counterpart, whose name escapes me at the moment. So there's all that stuff going on, and I'm just, like, moved past it. And also there's this plot of, like, the 1950s version of Captain America, where they, like, tried to use the super soldier serum again, and this guy, like, made himself look like Captain America. He's, like, back and trying to sort of take the place of Captain America, who he doesn't realize is the original Captain America. He thinks he's another copy, and it's just, like, so convoluted and so uninteresting that I feel like Englehart's just like, all right, we got to power through this, and then, then we get back to what we're doing. So I'm looking forward to the Englehart era really settling in. Right now I'm at a kind of a rocky transition with Captain America here.
I thought this, like, evil Captain America was supposed to be, like, a cool thing.
I don't find it cool.
Okay.
It's not really working for me.
All right.
So, but we'll see. We'll see.
All right. All right. Well, what did I say? Mutant X, DC thing. I read more Detective Comics. This was volume. It was so funny. I mean, I guess it's not funny. I was at lunch and I was like, but what if I read all of this Detective Comics? Like, I'm on volume 4. I was like, what if I read all volume 4 on my lunch break and then I don't have anything to read? And then I was like, wait a second. I also brought volume 5, but I didn't read it.
You didn't get there.
Anyways, Batman Detective Comics volume 4, The League of Shadows. Seems like that's an homage to the things that are afraid to use the League of Assassins, because the animated series couldn't use the phrase assassins. And then the movies the Batman Begins called them the League of Shadows. Maybe they thought League of Assassins sounded dumb.
I kind of like that better.
League of Shadows?
No, I think Shadows is
cool, the concept is that the League of Shadows are led by Shiva, Lady Shiva, and Ra's al Ghul even fears them. Like they're a problem for the League of Assassins, and they've come to Gotham because Lady Shiva is Cassandra Cain's mom.
Okay, yeah.
Was that something that was always? I mean, I always know about whatever his name is, Cain. His her dad, who was like the assassin. Was Lady Shiva always connected to Cassandra?
I don't think you knew for a long time. I'm trying to remember. I haven't read. I read those early Cassandra Cain, like Silent Running and stuff.
Right.
I read those a long time ago.
I don't
think Shiva played much of a part, but I think it was more you just didn't talk about the mother until they dropped the Shiva reveal.
That's the thing with the Rebirth stuff. They keep like reintroducing things, and I'm like, oh, was this always a thing, or is this just Rebirth? It's hard to like stay. Anyway, it's fine. The thing with Detective Comics, this run of Detective Comics by James Tynion, is that because he has a team, we're just constantly doing these big fights. So the first one was like this paramilitary organization based on Batman. Yeah. Then it was the monsters taking over Gotham. Then it was the victim syndicate. And now it's like the League of Shadows. And so a lot of it just becomes like very big fights that feels like, I don't know, it's kind of like how Age of Ultron tried to do the Avengers fighting a faceless army thing, and then Infinity War was the Avengers fighting a faceless army. It's just after a while I'm like, I'm not into it, this like faceless army. It's just, I don't know. I've been reading comics for 20 years, so like reading about like this team of Batman fighting just like a guy, like a whole army of people in a mask with no names and stuff, I'm not into it. I'm much more into like, I don't know, the personalities, like villains, like being connected to like those.
Well, listen.
So
I've been reading comics for 33 years, and I agree with you.
Oh, thank you.
So I think you figured it out. We talked about this volume of Batman Detective Comics over on the show we used to do together, the All the Books show, which you can still find at soundcloud.com/allthebooks. Episode 235, when we were talking about Jack London, we talked about my take on this, which is pretty similar to yours, because I like this Batman team, but I just felt like the story was, I don't know, it didn't do a lot for me.
Yeah. There's an overarching story, like they all have one, like Clayface has his overarching, like, Batman and Kate Kane, like, let me be in charge too. And like now this Cassandra Cain thing, but I don't know. I
think what's going on with spoiler and like sort of the mystery around where Tim Drake is. There are ongoing elements to it, but
I guess it feels a little like old school, where like the plot threads are like building throughout the series, but also every 6 issues is like a new big threat. So I don't know. It's a weird. It's kind of a weird beast. I like it's not Lucius Fox. It's what's his son's name? It's Luke Fox. Yeah. He's fun. He's kind of, I mean, he's definitely in that Iron Man mold, like not just his gear and everything, but that kind of like egotistical genius who enjoys the rich life and everything. But that's kind of like a fun element in the Bat family. Like somebody who just is It's funny that like Nightwing's not here.
Yeah.
It seems like he would just be here, but I guess he's just off doing his own thing. He had Tim Drake, but Tim Drake has been gone since Volume 1. So, anyway, it's funny. Even though
it's been a ways.
Even though this is Rebirth and everything, I still like Cassandra Cain. She's still a cool character. I've always liked her since I read Batman's No Man's Land, and I'm happy to see her here. So, anyway.
Well, heads up on this series. Volume 5, A Lonely Place of Living, is a bit of a time travel story, and that's the one that intersects really heavily with Super Sons of Tomorrow, like that Super Sons special. So, you might want to read that.
I'll just 2-star it and then keep going.
Okay. while we're talking about Luke Fox and Batwoman and all that, let's talk a little bit about Batwoman season 2, which has had, as we record now, only the first episode of season 2 has aired. Where are you? You never picked up Batwoman. You're not that far yet.
I'm not that far yet. Right? The next new show that I'll be starting will be Black Lightning, and I'll probably just finish Legends and then go to Black Lightning because they're both like shorter season shows. So.
Yeah. Batwoman's first appearance, I think, is in the next crossover that she'll come to.
Right.
Elseworlds, I think is the first time you see her. But I was pretty into the first season of Batwoman. That was one that we were watching, like...
Not Ruby Rose.
Yeah.
Ruby Rose?
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, where we were watching it, next day on CW, because you can do that with the new shows. So we were all caught up and ready for season 2 to drop. And season 2, of course, has a pretty big cast change. Not seen since I think the Superboy show in the 80s when we switched from to Gerard Christopher in season 2. But in this case, Kate Kane is written out of the show, and we're introduced to a new character named Ryan Wilder by Javicia Leslie. And I liked her. And I liked the story that they were given. I guess my complaint would be with Batwoman season 2, and I'm going to give it some time, was that it really felt like the show stayed the same and we swapped in a new lead. And I guess I would have liked the other thing to have happened. Like, bring in this new lead and let the characters, like, kind of mold around to her rather than trying to fit her in a peg that doesn't quite work. Because I'm going to try to do this without spoilers, but so much about season 1 of Batwoman is about Kate Kane's family ties, like her father, her ex-girlfriend, her sister, her stepsister. Like, they're all very, very centered on that, really tight relationships. So to bring in a new character as Batwoman, but still leave the full structure of the show with Kate's family is a little jarring.
Yeah, that's weird.
And I'm kind of hoping
now we're also mad at you.
Yeah, and they did give her some ties. Like in her background, they did give her some ties that do make sense, and I thought that was smart. My hope for the show going forward is that they will kind of be shifting the focus to letting this new character, Ryan Wilder, be the one who drives it, and they kind of form around her. I felt like it was a mistake to not shake up the show a little bit more, because it still felt like the show was Kate Kane's, but she's just not there. And I think that's going to be a problem if they don't adapt to that.
Right.
We've got our first look at the Batmobile, something that's not happened at Batwoman yet. I'd read that they had plans for it in season 1, but COVID stuff changed that. I don't really know how that works, but that's that was an interview that I read. Another issue that I had with it was the Tommy Elliott character, Hush, has been in the first season of Batwoman. And he was sort of the big bad of this episode. And there was a whole mystery about, like, is this Bruce Wayne? People are seeing him and thinking maybe it's Bruce Wayne. And Hush, to me, was kind of set up to be a season big bad, which I think the Arrowverse has had varying degrees of success with that. But they really wrapped up this Bruce Wayne mystery and the Hush storyline in one episode, which I thought was crazy. Because I feel like Hush certainly hasn't been utilized on film anywhere else on screen outside of that one animated movie. So to do away with that mystery and to do away with Hush, not that they can't revisit it, but to wrap all that up in the first episode, I thought was actually
because he wears bandages all around his face. Hush. Yeah,
was just a shocking thing to do. So I'm still on board with Batwoman. I like the new character. I really like this actress. Javicia Leslie, who's coming in there, and so I'm on board, but I'm going to give it some time and see how it goes.
Right. Well, we'll stick with the CW then, because we finally caught up enough with our watching that we were able to watch Crisis on Earth X, the 4-part set during Arrow's season 6, Flash season 4,
something like that.
Supergirl season 3, and Legends season 3. So
I was not super on board with this one.
Yeah, it's so weird. You said we were talking because we were playing like Sea of Thieves, and you said, "Oh, I'm just not the Nazis and everything," and I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And then you're like, "Oh, we started Man in the High Castle." I'm like, "What? What are you talking about then?"
No, it wasn't. It wasn't that I didn't like that storyline. I guess I don't know. That one just didn't land right for me. didn't really dig it.
What I liked about it though is that the last crossover they did with the Dominators, there was very much like this is the Flash episode, this is the Arrow episode, and like the Arrow episode of the Dominators crossover had Ollie and Thea like in this like alternate, they were like being mind controlled to think that they were seeing like their parents were still alive and he was marrying Laurel and they were happy, and so it was very like character focused, but it also kind of was like, well, this is an episode of this crossover that, so I like that the 4 episodes all just kind of bled together. Like the legends aren't, you only have half the legends for the first 3, and then they do show up, and that's fun. And then like the Team Arrow shows up in theirs, so it kind of has that. But and like the beginning was kind of fun, where like you see them all doing their things. Like, we got to go to Barry's wedding. I'm like, it starts with like Iris being like, people still haven't given their reservations if they're coming to the wedding, and we need those. And it's all their like close friends haven't RSVP'd. Like, what the crap? And also, Heatwave Mick Rory is the one they invited to their wedding, but they didn't invite Ray of the Atom. So. I pointed out to Kendra. She's like, yeah, what the heck?
Weird.
And it's so funny because his Joe West tells Barry, I wish your parents were here to see this. And I'm thinking, John Wesley Shipp is his dad, is alive, and not in prison anymore. He just got out of town as soon as you can't.
I know.
You can't do that.
Yeah, he was busy.
Busy. I wish I could come, Bear, but I was in prison. I'm not wasting time in a wedding.
Life's my prison now, baby.
So I liked this. But here's the problem, and it's not just about the crossover. I feel like it's the CW shows in general. A lot of times I feel like the bigger they try to go, the smaller you realize it is. Because, like, this is supposed to be this big 4-episode crossover with this alternate Earth, but, like, you look at the sets, and you're just still in their base, you're still on the ship, when they go to Earth X, they're in this camp, but you realize, like, oh, it's a very small set with lighting in the background and everything.
Yeah.
And even the big fight at the end, it's under a freeway, because everything's under a freeway, because that's when you can film and where you can film. So it was like the Dominators one's like, oh, so we're just going to hang out in this empty warehouse. And you just kind of realize, like, they're trying to go big, they're trying to do multiple Earths, but it's still on a CW budget, so you just kind of realize how small the sets are for this, like, big story, I kind of feel like.
Yeah.
But it was also kind of fun to see everybody again. And, like, Supergirl felt much more included in this than she did in the last one.
Yeah.
So that was nice. True. Mainly because you had the evil versions of the team. Why get Tommy from season 1 of Arrow for, like, 5 seconds? I don't understand that. Why not make him a regular?
They love that actor. He comes back. I feel like he's there every year. He's the Tasha Yar of that show. Absolutely.
But also,
every chance they get.
It's funny, we were watching it, and Kendra was saying, evil Kara, evil Supergirl. It's rough, because whenever, like, Melissa Benoit tries to be that, like, evil character, she described it as, like, when a little puppy is, like, growling, like, trying to be a big, like, and it's just, I think she's a great actress, and I think she's, like, she is Supergirl to me, but I kind of get that when she's like, we're gonna crush you. It's like, you're trying to... Anyway, whereas, Tom Cavanaugh comes back as, as the face for Thrawn, I guess because they just wanted to not pay the other guy. But he loves it. He's so, nasty in that role. Anyway.
I agree with you about Supergirl in that crossover. In the later season of Supergirl, where she plays like a Russian version of Supergirl, I feel like she really nails the dark Supergirl stuff there. So maybe that was kind of a, but she got her feet wet here and really got it later.
It was fun. You see Adam riding the T-Sphere. What's his name? I can't even remember his name from Legends. The metal guy. Captain Steel or whatever. He catches Supergirl. He's like, the Man of Steel catches the Girl of Steel. And so there was fun stuff to it. But also, maybe I'll put up a spoiler tag right now for this, because I'm going to put up the spoiler tag. Whoop.
Do it.
I've never been super into any of these shows Firestorm. Mainly because I always just find it a little weird whenever they just really like, oh, we got to get to our bonding session, Jefferson.
Yeah.
It's like, you're like 80 years old, Victor Garber. It's just that they always like this like young boy and this elderly man always have this like friendship, and it always just comes across as like weird to me, in the same way that we should question the Marty McFly Doc Brown relationship. But that one I always feel is like very real. I've never like connected, other than the fact that they have to like team up to be Firestorm. But this crossover and really Legends this season really kind of won me over, that they have a close relationship and they feel like family, and they even bring up like a father-son relationship. So like the big twist that happens with those two characters got me. This one I was actually really I got a little teary-eyed, and Kendra was sad. So congratulations on that too. Wally's not here.
We were watching Legends. We were caught up with Legends, and so we kind of skipped that episode when we were just watching Legends, and then the next episode we were like, the frick, so many things happened.
Yeah.
So we learned our lesson there.
Yeah,
one thing that I will recommend to you, I know you and I watched the Vixen movie together, and
oh my gosh, wish
good.
I had watched any of the Ray.
Freedom Fighters: The Ray was I thought was very good.
Yeah.
I actually kind of enjoyed it more than the special.
I guess
Did
I'm
you
gonna
watch
have
it at all?
No, I haven't. I guess I'm gonna have to watch it now, because he just showed up. I'm like, oh, that's the Ray. Had no like background on that, so I wish I had.
I think that's on HBO Max.
Yeah, I think it is too. Yeah, so I'll watch it,
because it doesn't, like, those were sort of happening in separate bubbles, and so the animated movie doesn't 100% gel with the special.
Yeah,
like there are things where you're like, oh, that happened differently. And also the voice acting, I don't remember how it breaks out, but it's like it's either Stephen Amell or it's Grant Gustin, and the other one is wrong. It's like some of the voices are right and some of them are just voice actors. So it's kind of a strange experience, but I thought it was really well done. So I would recommend Freedom Fighters: The Ray.
Okay.
Let's see here. Why
don't you talk about the pre-CW superhero show that you finished?
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah. So we've been watching. I watched Smallville when it was on. I sort of bulked at it after the first couple episodes because it was right on the heels of Lois and Clark.
Yeah.
And it was so teeny bopper soap opera in the early episodes.
Papa over here was into that whole first season.
I know you were. I know. And so I kind of got away from it, and it wasn't really, I want to say, until season 4, when Lois showed up and when Aquaman showed up, that I was kind of like, I got to get back in this show. How am I missing these things?
Yeah.
And so then I kind of went back and caught up and watched it from there on. So we watched it when it was on right up through the finale. We started a rewatch. Actually, you were a part of this rewatch when it started.
I bailed.
Back in 2013, my wife and I and Eric and his wife Kendra, we started watching this, and we watched, up into 2 seasons, and then you guys moved away, and then when you were back in town, we started up again. Sans Eric, you were not a part.
I don't even know what season was, but I was like, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah,
not having a good time.
Season 2, you only got season 2.
No, because I was there for Lois and Mixel Pickle. I said Mixel Pickle.
Mixel Pick, I think it's 2 or 3. But anyway, so we've been watching it steadily. And then when you guys moved away, we had to watch the last 3 seasons remotely. And we did. And just last night, we watched the finale of Smallville. And you know what? Smallville is just always going to have a special place in my heart. This rewatch, I was kind of like, this show's kind of a hot mess. It really is kind of a sloppy experience to watch that show. And there's so much that I like about the later seasons, but it's also one of those things where it's like they set up these big global disasters, but then every other episode they just do like a normal, small cast episode. It's just like, but isn't there a catastrophe happening outside?
I know, that's how I feel. But that continues in any of, it's the hour format. You just don't have enough stuff to fill an hour for every episode, for 22 episodes a season, that you have to be like, we could stop him, but we gotta go get this car fixed.
Exactly.
Today.
Exactly.
It's just like,
so I really like when Kara shows up, when we have Supergirl for that season, and then I like, her subsequent appearances. Really like Justin Hartley as Green Arrow. I really like the relationship between Clark and Oliver on that show. And I feel like the finale just nails it. It's just like beat by beat, just right.
I've seen the last 10 minutes.
the final moments of that show are what I had like hoped for years. Like they did it exactly right. And rewatching the show, I honestly don't often feel like Tom Welling is playing Superman, is playing Clark Kent. Like to me, it's just kind of a different character.
Yeah.
But in the final episode, when he's really like, when he's in the fortress, you know, when he's like stepping up, I do feel like he fully embodies Superman there, which I think is pretty impressive given the length of time he played sort of a different version of that character. So
yeah,
I was pleased with the rewatch. It'll be a while before I decide to watch Smallville again. You know, I think it's more likely that I would cherry pick some episodes to rewatch. But you know, I really like the show. If you haven't seen it, it's a long watch. I'm not sure how well it would do
10
for somebody who's used to like the Arrowverse to go back and start it again.
Remember, somebody donated at your library where I used to work. Somebody donated the first 5 seasons of Smallville, and like I was in charge of putting DVDs in, so I was like, fine, we'll add the first 5. I don't think they're gonna check out. And they were always checking out. People would come in and just check them out in droves to the point where it's like, fine, I'll buy the last 5 seasons. And we did. And those kept like people were continuing to watch it. And I had thought the same thing. Like in the CW world, like Smallville even has like a different pacing, you know? But there were like teens checking it out. Like, oh, I need to put the next season of Smallville on hold. I'm like, what year is it?
I know.
So I think there's just something... There's something still there. And maybe like that, maybe it's the teeny bopper drama that maybe ages better? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe not. It's so dated though. Do the DVDs have the original music, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just so funny.
So, I mean, I guess all that to say is I do recommend Smallville.
If you didn't watch it that 10 years. 10 seasons. It lasted longer than Arrow, so it has that too.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking as we were watching it, no one else has ever like embodied Clark Kent for longer than Tom Welling.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, I mean, that's crazy.
Here, do you want this microphone to drop?
Hold on. So, as far as comic book wise, there is a Smallville comic that's set like within the run of the show that I've never actually got my hands on and read. So I can't really speak to that. There's a Superboy collection that features like Superboy team ups, and it features like all the like Aquaman and Green Arrow. So it's kind of cool to see some like comic book history of those characters actually being in Smallville. But the continuation of the series, Smallville season 11, is actually pretty solid. It starts pretty close to the series. By the end, it's so big and so grand that it hardly feels connected to like what you see in Smallville. But you get characters you never got to. You know, like Wonder Woman's in there, Batman and Robin is in there. I mean, it's really, if you've watched the series and have never checked out the comic book continuation, Smallville season 11, it's definitely worth it. It's a lot of fun. I was actually kind of thinking about like rereading it now that we just finished it.
Yeah.
Because I have that one in trades. I mean, that was coming out like before the app and everything. A lot of them were digital first, but they are all collected nicely in trades. I'm not sure if it's on the app or not, but definitely worth the read. I like it. I like it quite a bit.
Okay. So what else? I'm done.
Oh, you are? Okay.
It was so light for me. I got my Hellblazer comics late in the week, and Mutant X was one that I had just picked up on the app.
Yeah.
And because I didn't work Monday, I had less time. Like I didn't have a lunch break on Monday where I was reading comics. So, yeah, you keep going.
Okay. Well, I read one more thing, and that is Leia, Princess of Alderaan by Claudia Gray, adapted by Haruchi. And you read this? Did you read this book or no?
No, Claudia Gray wrote the young adult book, which you won't find in the timelines on the adult Star Wars novels, which is so stupid.
That's a
bit. Yeah, she wrote the young adult book, Princess of Alderaan. And this is the same thing that they did with her other book, Lost Stars.
Lost Stars, yeah. Yeah, it is. And I'd never read Lost Stars, so I couldn't really speak to the adaptation, though I loved the manga of Lost Stars. I thought it was great. Really liked it. And I was kind of hoping they'd continue it, you know, because it is kind of an open ending, and I was ready for volume 4. Nothing yet. This, I'm not sure how many volumes this would be. I would assume probably another 3.
Lost Stars, the book ended on like open-ended. Like, all right,
Okay.
well, I'll be back. Okay.
It just seemed like, it was so successful in manga format, and I know it was popular at the library. I kind of thought maybe they'd be like, there's some juice left in this. But so the novel is really about Leia kind of coming of age and getting wise to the fact that her parents are actually part of the rebellion. So it's her taking her first steps to serve in the Senate, and it's her kind of figuring out what's going on like in the world and making her way in the rebellion as well. So it starts really strong. The book really falls heavily into some YA tropes as far as like romance and just the personalities of the group. It becomes kind of like, we're going to go on this ropes course. What I really liked about the book, though, was how it managed to take all aspects of Star Wars. Like, it pulled some of the early stuff from the prequels. It did some stuff from the JJ trilogy. Specifically the non-JJ film, Last Jedi. It pulled in like the character of Holdo plays a big part in this. So I really like the way it stitches together the different eras. And so far, I think it's actually succeeding a little bit more in manga form. So I'm eagerly anticipating number 2 because, as you know, Leia's tops for me when it comes to Star Wars. So I like this. Is this something you'd ever pick up or no?
I don't know. Every now and then I do pick up a YA Star Wars book. So I'd probably read the book.
I mean the manga specifically.
Yeah, I'd probably read the book first.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's a decent read.
Yeah. I don't know.
Are you caught up to date on WandaVision? You want to talk WandaVision episode 3?
I did watch WandaVision episode 3.
Okay.
It's all 70s Partridge Family-ish.
Brady's Bunch, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it does a lot of Brady Bunch imagery.
Yeah.
I'm still loving it. I'm sensing that it's not your jam, this show.
What? No, I like it.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay.
I liked episode 3. I like some of the callbacks to... Oh my gosh. I will say, though, again, the things I tend to hate are like fan groups because you get on Twitter after this and people are like, wow, after watching this episode, Disney Plus recommended I watch Age of Ultron. That's pretty slick. I'm like, really? Really, everybody? Like, even the Twitter news thing read, like, people are impressed that Disney Plus recommended Age of Ultron. People are impressed that the Disney-owned streaming service suggested you watch a Disney-owned product after watching a Disney-owned product? What's your level of wonder these days?
It is a low bar. I mean, they do specifically mention a lot about Age of Ultron, like, in that. So it's the obvious thing. It's not like that's a deep cut.
I just don't understand. It just seems like you don't have to do anything anymore to impress people. Anyway, that's a different thing. I mean, that's not WandaVision. I enjoyed WandaVision, and I enjoyed the end. I enjoyed what is that song? Sleepy Dreamer?
The Monkees.
Oh, okay,
yeah. The Monkees.
So that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm liking it.
I like seeing a little bit on the outside. I still am just so impressed with the acting. I feel like Paul Bettany can do no wrong for me in this series. I mean, he's just nailing all of these like little slight comic turns, and he's so aping like Robert Reed from the Brady Bunch in this, for example. He did a lot of like, the one-off looks and like the mugging for the camera was just very much on point for a 70s sitcom. So I liked it. Well, I like seeing a little bit on the outside. I think
Elizabeth
it's really
Olsen,
cool.
like, because Vision is playing like that kind of character, and then every now and he's like, hey, what's going on? But Elizabeth Olsen really has to like go from like 1 to 100 very quickly with some scenes. So she's like, oh no, the pan's on fire. I had a brother. And so like it's true. She's definitely like there's a lot of range going on here. So I enjoy that. Yeah. Not a lot of the extra cast.
No, that's true.
No Catherine, barely any Catherine Hahn.
Yeah.
Han?
Yeah. Han.
Catherine Hahn.
I did feel like another 2-episode drop would have been wise.
That's the thing.
So short.
I can't remember if Mandalorian dropped 2 episodes when it first aired. I feel like maybe it did, but it is frustrating to go back to just 1 episode. Like, no. So because it's so short. Yeah.
And like you get so little of the thing that's pushing it forward, which I think is fine. It's just like I'm not saying I'm impatient with it. I just feel like
when 20 minutes of it is sitcom tropes, and then 10 minutes is like maybe the actual story.
I felt like you needed a little bit of a bigger bite of the story than 1 episode would give you. But I mean, Disney, I guess, knows what they're doing. I
don't know. They recommended I watch Age of Ultron after watching this episode.
Yeah. You know what I watched directly after this episode was Doctor Strange.
Okay, I think you misunderstood. Disney Plus recommended you watch Age of Ultron.
They did. I know they did.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Did you want to talk about rewatching Doctor Strange?
I guess just a little bit, I mean, how does Doctor Strange fall in your ratings? Like, are you...
I like it. I think it's fun. But also, I saw it in 3D IMAX when I first saw it, so that was great.
I do like it. I wouldn't say that I don't like it. I'm frustrated by some of the things that happen. I'm frustrated by what I feel like is kind of a lack of a journey for Stephen Strange. He goes from like super arrogant neurosurgeon to just like super arrogant sorcerer supreme, and I don't really feel like
there's the whole.
I mean, like, yes, he has
it's not all about you.
He has a beard and shaggy. He has a beard and shaggy hair, I know, but I don't really feel like he has a true, like, humbling breaking point. It's just like he just pours himself into like magic next, and it's just sort of suddenly the sorcerer supreme. I feel like without that middle point, it is sort of like an Andrew Garfield Spider-Man issue where it's like, oh no, super sexy cool guy goes from super sexy cool guy with glasses to super sexy cool guy with spider powers. Like,
weird.
I just don't feel like there's enough of a transition in the character there. So without that journey, I feel like it's missing a little section there.
It sounds like Stephen Strange bullied you or something. And you
never
never really got over it.
I also feel like the folding cityscape aesthetic was done like better in Inception, and so I'm surprised that they went with like specifically with cityscapes again to do that, because it did feel very much done to me there. But I love the time loop with Dormammu. I love a lot of the way the magic is used. I think is really clever. So I did enjoy it as I did the first time, but I feel like the complaints I had the first time still bother me a little bit the second time through. And I hate that cape. Oh my gosh, I hate that cape.
Wow.
The cartoon, like, magic carpet from Aladdin as his cape, like, poking him and pointing to things. I hate it.
I'm just gonna nod until you're done on this one.
All right. You don't have any criticisms of Doctor Strange? You're just like 100% all in?
I like it. It's a fun time. I definitely do not feel the same ways you do about his journey or the cape or the cityscape stuff. I'm in it.
I just think it's interesting when you have a character who is like an undisputed like master expert at something to have to start over as a novice at something totally different. Mm-hmm. I think without seeing any struggle there, you kind of miss that. You miss a character like that having to be like bad at something. It would be really hard. And so I guess I wanted that and we didn't get it. But
it's bad at surgery now.
You're right. But I guess I'm still excited about, the next stage for Doctor Strange. I guess I just really love Doctor Strange in the comics. Particularly Spider-Man Doctor Strange team-ups is like my jam when it comes to that sort of thing. But no, I'm glad to have rewatched it, and
I'm less excited for the sequel now that they got rid of the same director. It was so funny. It just reads like, oh yeah, the next they have this horror movie director for this one, and it's not like very horror centric, but he's like, the next one we're gonna be a little bit more horror. Then the next piece of news is like him saying, yeah, it's gonna be a horror movie, and then the next one he's let go and they bring in a new director, and then the next piece of news is Kevin Feige being like, it's not gonna be a horror movie. So
no, that's too bad.
I don't know, but it's still called of madness. But I was just a little bit more excited for seeing like that director cut loose a little bit. But
yeah,
oh well.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
All right, what's next? That's it, right? That's it for comics and shows. A lot more shows than comics, but maybe that's why I read less comics.
Maybe.
I'm sorry, I forgot. It's Sam Raimi who's coming in for the sequel, first Doctor Strange. Oh. Well, I don't know why I forgot about that, but I did.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess I'm back to being interested. Still bummed it's not the same director.
What a journey that was.
Yes, but if somebody can win me back over, then yes, it's Sam Raimi. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
But it's too bad that bring back Tobey Maguire then.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, it seems like they're heading that way.
Woo.
I've got a true quarter bin selection for you here that I'm going to run through quickly. This does my least favorite thing that comics do. It's a major bait and switch. I mean, when you look at this cover, you got Superman punching Shazam. You expect yourself to have a good time. You expect that Superman and Shazam are going to fight, or that Superman is going to, in fact, be in this. And if that's what you're hoping for, I'm afraid to say that you're going to be a little disappointed. So let's do it. This is Shazam number 30, 1977, written by E. Nelson Bridwell.
I feel like this happens a lot with your quarter prints, though, because didn't we talk about that with Wonder Woman with the lightning? It like doesn't happen at all.
Yeah, that's the name of the game in the Silver Age, but this one I feel like is particularly disappointing.
Yeah.
So this is clearly tied in with the show. It says it's a DC TV comic, which is the same logo they use for like the Super Friends comic,
featuring the entire Shazam family.
Saturday morning Superstar.
Ooh.
So this is definitely, it hits the point in the comic. So I read this later in life as part of a Shazam showcase. And there's a clear transition when you get to the era where the TV show was really hitting big, because suddenly it switches to that format. Shazam and Uncle Dudley, who he's calling Mentor, driving around in a van talking to the elders, which is the premise of this show.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we are here. So anyway, but we open with Batman. We have Batman and Robin fighting the Pigeon Woman.
What?
And she corrects them.
This is what we're opening with, a Superman Shazam fight thing with Batman and Robin fight. If this is a Hostess commercial, and that the Pigeon Woman wants a hostess.
Okay. Well, the Pigeon Woman does not want a hostess. Anyway, the Pigeon Woman corrects them by saying that she's a pigeon person. Thank you very much, Robin. She's using her flock of birds to steal the Statue of Liberty, and on next is Mount Rushmore. So they beat her to Mount Rushmore. Only this time, only this time they're ready. And you know what they're ready with, Eric? Hostess frosted devil food cupcakes. The birds will do anything for them, and the pigeon person knows this. They'll even betray her for these delicious Hostess cupcakes, and that's exactly what they do. The final panel of this is just hysterical to me. It's a bunch of like army generals. Can you see this? It's a bunch of like army generals sitting around eating their Hostess cupcakes. And the Pigeon Woman says, "I can't blame my pigeons for betraying me. Even a bird brain knows that a Hostess cupcake in the beak is worth any 2 statues on the street."
What?
I don't know. The end.
Jeez.
Next, we have Uncle Billy and Uncle Dudley rolling around in their panel van.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, Dr. Savannah is reading an issue of Action Comics featuring Superman.
Mm-hmm.
They end up at a steel mill, and they find a literal man of steel who pops out. And then we get the old wives' tale about Joe Magarak. Apparently, Magarak means jackass in Serbo-Croatian. He was born in an iron mountain, became a steel worker, and was sort of a Paul Bunyan type of character. Anyway, this guy is not that, but he's reminiscent of that. And Savannah puts a robot brain in him to fight Shazam. So Shazam and him fight. Shazam punches him out the window. He switches back to Billy, thinks everything's fine. Well, Magarak comes back and puts a steel gag on Billy, but then Billy writes on a piece of paper that he's just a big dumb idiot. And Magarak punches him, breaking off the thing covering his mouth. He turns back into Shazam, and this time he takes him down. Well, all of a sudden now a bunch of steel circus animals are coming out. Shazam can't fight these alone. So he consults with the elders in the van, which was a staple of the show. He'd go out there and be like, "Oh, elders, tell me." And Hercules says, even strong men need some help. So he calls the whole Marvel family. We've got Marvel Jr., we've got Mary Marvel, we've got Fat Marvel, who I was not familiar with. We have Hillbilly Batson, who is like a hillbilly, and Tall Billy Batson, who's like a cowboy Marvel. They all come, they sing an elaborate song about being the Marvels and fighting things, and they fight all the animals. Things are looking fine, but then a metal Superman appears. So this is where we get our only Superman.
Okay.
He's not even in color, he's just steel color. And there's a few panels where they fight, and Shazam goes in for a kill, and we don't know what happens. We cut to Dr. Savannah. And Steel Superman comes in, and he's like, "It's done." But then he rips the steel off, and it's just Shazam, and Savannah goes off, and that's it. So long, everyone.
Good one, Shazam.
So this is very much of its time. When we did our Shazam Spotlight on the All the Book Show, we interviewed Elliot S. Maggin, who wrote a lot of these. He said that E. Nelson Bridwell was kind of a pain about Shazam because he was like, the original creator and would kind of like dictate what would happen. So this was one of the last, I think, that he did, and then Elliot S. Maggin took over and wrote a lot of those. I also interviewed John Davey, who played Shazam in this series, over on the All the Book Show, so you can find that at soundcloud.com/allthebooks. But this was one of my favorites when I was a kid. Even with the bait and switch, I loved this one. So
that's good.
When I was reading through that Shazam showcase, I got to this issue. It was like, hey, this is my quarter bit issue. And so that was kind of fun to revisit it. So it is collected in Shazam showcase.
All right, nice. Is this fiery lava pipe in the fight?
Well, they're in like a steel mill, so kind of. It's like you could see it's like molten steel pouring out. So yeah, I guess that happens.
I could see how a young Nick is walking into a comic book store and sees this cover and like, oh, you have my money.
I gotta have it.
I can't wait to see this exact scene play out exactly how it appears to be.
Do you have a spur of the moment Batman pick?
Stop! No.
Oh. Okay.
What? Fine. My spur of the moment Batman pick is Trinity.
Huh. Like the Trinity book that has Batman, Superman, or the Matt Wagner Batman, Superman.
It's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. It's the
Bible.
Yeah, it's Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. It's I believe it is Matt Wagner. It's Matt Wagner. It's Trinity. It kind of has like an old school vibe about it, but it's not really like a timeless feel to it. I can't remember the art. I just remember it being kind of fun. Really like it. I gave it 4 stars. Batman, Superman. Let me enlarge this cover. Save image. Yeah, get this up here. Stop doing this. I thought we were a little faster. But yeah, Trinity. There we go. I liked it when it was there. They're fighting Ra's al Ghul, and it's just kind of fun to like see these 3 characters in this kind of. It's supposed to be like the first time they're joining together. But yeah, it's not really something. It doesn't feel like what's the series? It doesn't feel like New Frontier in terms of that kind of like setting. It feels just like this could be any time, but it's also every time. I don't know. But yeah, Matt Wagner wrote this, and I thought it was a good time. So it's a Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman team up. But of course, if
I'd always intended to read this, and I just haven't. So maybe now's the time.
Well, Raz, I believe, if I remember, has Bizarro working with him. So that's hard, though. If you're like,
pretty fun.
All right, we're gonna save the environment. He's like, you want me blow up environment? No, Bizarro. Saving the environment. Okay, yes, we destroy the environment.
Yeah.
Me
really difficult.
Plant tree.
Yep. Yeah, that's challenging.
There we go.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing. I'm gonna read it.
Okay. Oh, you have? Yeah, that's a little surprise. I mean,
it's weird that I haven't.
Yeah,
but I know
it's got 2 of your favorite superheroes, Superman and Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
I know Batman's in it. I know how you feel about Batman. He's not Dick Grayson.
That's true. Sometimes he is Dick Grayson.
That's true. Sometimes he's Dick Grayson, and suddenly he's your favorite.
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
All right. What if I told you it's Michael Keaton's Batman?
Huh.
It's not.
Yeah, I guess I better then.
No.
Shut up. You're going to jail.
All right.
Love it.
What else are you reading this week? Anything?
What am I planning to read going forward? I mean, I want to do a bigger chunk into like trying to catch up in DC, so I'm probably going to read some of that Aquaman. February is also Black History Month, so I was going to kind of let that guide some of my reading, so we'll see what I come up with for that.
All right.
Yeah.
I got Lucifer, Mike Carey's Lucifer Vertigo title from Hoopla, so it's on my iPad and not my Nook, and I've got more Hellblazer, but I guess I got to keep reading this Mutant X. There's only 34 issues.
I think you have to.
It ran for 3 years.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be 12 issues. It ran for 34 because of unexpectedly high sales.
Wow. That's fun.
So
you got me very curious about this. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'll keep you up to date with the Adventures of Havoc.
Please do.
In Dream World.
That'd be great.
So, yeah, I don't know what else. Right. With these CW shows, now that we caught up with Crisis of Earth X, I can go back to watching Supergirl and Legends on my own pace.
Yeah.
While Kendra and I stick with Arrow and Flash for a while. And then I don't have to wait until we get till Crisis.
Yeah.
Crisis alert.
Crisis is exciting.
All right.
Anything else? No, I think that's it.
All right, let's just let the energy like naturally die.
Okay.
And just kind of until we like notice it.
Yep.
And then once that's happened, there's a good